PNG happenings.
Papua New Guinea. Where are we really heading as a nation? The opposition leader speaks directly to the people, and the message is powerful. Welcome back to PNG Happenings, your trusted source for real stories, real voices, and real issues. On April 23, 2026, opposition leader James Nomane went live on Facebook, addressing the nation on a critical topic, a nation in focus. Where are we going?
Good evening, everybody. This is the first live session that we will be doing tonight, and we just invite everybody to participate with some questions, concerns, so we can have constructive chat. Basically, this first live event will be called A Nation in Focus, and the question is, where are we going? We, as a leader of the opposition, our job is to scrutinize government action, decision making, government inaction, and it is to hold the executive government accountable on behalf of the people of Papua New Guinea. Our job is also to understand the issues that are currently affecting the nation and develop alternative policy to help resolve these issues for a better country. At the end of the day, opposition, government, we're all on the same team. We're all here to go to bat for the people of Papua New Guinea. Tonight we will be discussing issues ranging from inflation, shrinking opportunities, failing services, and leadership failure that has underscored this litany of crises that are affecting the country right now. But without being a doomsday prophet, we will also provide an empowering message to the country on what we can do to make our country a better place and take our destiny into our own hands. So this will basically be the subject matter for tonight's live stream. Now, firstly, we will be touching on the topic of inflation. Now, inflation is an evil that affects every home and family throughout Papua New Guinea. Milton Friedman says that inflation is tax that does not need to be legislated. Now, what is inflation? Inflation is the steady increase of prices over time that continues to erode the purchasing power of the kina. And this means that for every kina that we save to buy rice and essential goods and food staples in the stores, it comes to a point where these things are no longer affordable for the average Papua New Guinean. And this whole concept of inflation, this whole effect, the rising of prices year after year, has worsened because of the devaluation of the kina and because of this FATF grey listing that we have found ourselves in. This has worsened the cost of living crisis that is affecting Papua New Guineans. Na displasambi na make him hard through lol man na meriba baim keke lo swa, baim marasen lo pharmacy, baim school fee lol pikinini, baim e balus ticket, baim close lol pikinini, baim rent lo house, baim water bill, power bill. This logra something and go hard because lo inflation. Price logra something work lo go antap too much. When we look at, when we compare inflation, back in 2019, 20 kilo bag of rice was 45 kina, and in 2026 it is 110 kina. Now this has demonstrated a whopping increase in the price of rice, and Papua New Guinea consumes more rice than Australia. Just to put things in perspective, we consume a lot of rice, and it's one of the staple foods that we eat every day. And when you see how inflation has affected rice as a benchmark for how inflation has affected everything else, it is quite staggering the impact it has had on Papua New Guineans throughout the country. Now, as inflation continues to rise, the minimum wage has remained at 3 kina 50 per day. That's the daily wage rate since 1975. We haven't seen a marked increase in the minimum wage for workers throughout the country. So that means now, with the inflation effects on the price of rice, for example, it costs 29 times more to buy a bag of rice than it did in 1975. But minimum wage hasn't increased in that period, but inflation has continued to affect prices. So you make some independence time and price work law go on top, law got something because of inflation. That's all. Minimum wage, blow got all workman, all hard work, no work, no work stop them. Average seems to start taking a 50 mark. Now government sa all this land 50 years independence na, you may not make him 1%. There's three important numbers for all Papua New Guineans to be aware of at this critical point in our journey post-independence. One is the fact that we are 66 billion kina in debt, that in 2026 we have been grey listed. That's the year that we have been grey listed. And that the kina devaluation has eroded over 40% since 2014. That's how much devaluation has weakened our local currency. And don't forget, devaluation has a direct impact on inflation. So as we erode the value of our currency, we erode the purchasing power of the kina, and we increase the cost of living crisis, we worsen it. That's affecting families throughout the country. The 66 billion kina debt, it equates to over 55% of the debt to GDP ratio. That's the measure of how much debt the country is in compared to the size of the economy. So the way we must look him lo side the dinao emolsen. Lo one kina we make him lo takis 55 toya lo disla one kina must go back lo back him din. Na 45 toya mi must follow him no mi must buy him putting money go lo education, health, law and order, strong in police, strong in defense, strong in correctional services. Look lo nab lo something, grab him agriculture. Want him 45 toya that's all lo one kina. Because 55 toya must go back lo back him din. That's what we mean when we're saying 55% of the debt to GDP ratio. The amount of debt we've incurred compared to the size of the economy. Now, as we continue into 2026, the second topic deals with shrinking opportunities. We have what we call a youth bulge pandemic, where you have over 70% of people in the country that are under 25 years of age. Now, this is a staggering amount of young men and women that are unemployed, that are without homes, and that have the potential but are not realizing that full potential because of lack of opportunity. So of this youth population, we have about 70% that are unemployed, and there's 1 in 10 school leavers that find formal work, but 9 out of 10 can't because of lack of opportunity. So we have about 40,000 plus new job seekers that seek employment in the job market every year, but hardly find a job. Only 10% of that number are able to find gainful employment. Because it's so competitive, they find gainful employment at rates that can't really help sustain them. And it becomes very competitive, and then it increases that rat race. So what we tend to see is lack of opportunities. And when this affects such a big demographic, right now you have children and adolescents that form a lower bracket, and you have this youth that just form the biggest population demographic in the country. And without opportunity, they will resort to crime. They will resort to violence, and they will become a liability on the state. And this is something that has been taking form and shape. It's something that was predicted. It's something that was foreseen by previous governments, by this government. Yet no one has really grabbed the bull by the horns to address the youth bulge pandemic. And it's a ticking time bomb for the country, because you can't have able-bodied men and women restless, unemployed, and without opportunity. It's a recipe for disaster. And this is something that has to be addressed immediately. When we look at like the education attrition rates, where at the very top you have to look at it like an upside down pyramid, where you have 100% intake, but right at the very bottom at tertiary institutions, it just drops. That number drops to about 8%, 3%, between 3 to 8%. So that attrition rate of all these children that started off in school at the very beginning, and they all dropped off along the way. So this is a staggering number that requires critical thinking for the government to develop solutions. And to date, we have seen, and there was an admission by the Education Minister recently in Parliament, that there is no solution but to remove all exams from grade 8 to grade 10 and allow all the students to just go through. But how's that a solution when you haven't built enough infrastructure and teachers, and you had a teachers entitlements disaster and catastrophe because of all these unpaid entitlements for so many years? So therein lies the problem. So when without this proper land tenure, without jobs, we will have a disenfranchised youth demographic. We will have a population that sees themselves exiled in their own land without any purpose, and this will lead to societal decay throughout the country. Another thing that we noticed recently, the third topic, failing services, is how we had droves of Papua New Guineans wake up at pre-dawn, 2 to 3, 4 o'clock in the morning, to go down to Port Moresby at Fairfax Harbour seeking medical treatment. Sora tumas ol mama ol papa ol tango man meri ol lapun ol karam ol piginini lo tribe no monin na yumi painim hausik bolo shipwe ol gut lo poroman yumi lo China ol karam. Now we appreciate the aid and the support given by our bilateral partners, but what happened down at Fairfax Harbour was a total indictment on the government. Now this goes to show that we're not really prioritizing health or services like education or law and order in the country to really create and achieve the tenets of Vision 2050, which hopes to achieve healthy, safe, wise, wealthy society by 2050. Without healthcare, we won't get there. Without proper education and fulfilling the aspirations of our children through education, we won't be able to achieve Vision 2050. So this was something that we saw, and it's an indictment. And this has to compel all Papua New Guineans to ask ourselves, why? Why are we so desperate for healthcare? What's wrong with 3 Mile, and what's wrong with our hospitals all around the country? Why are we lacking medicine? Why are there not enough doctors and nurses to fill these hospitals and to respond to patients when they go in? We've all heard these horror stories of patients going and dying as they're waiting for treatment or for a nurse and doctor to respond. So these are stories that have to really trigger that sense of curiosity among citizens to say, well, what's happening in our country? And it must compel us to take action, to really apply introspection and say, where did we go wrong and what needs to happen? Overall, the health indicators have been regressing over time, and it's just the worst it's ever been. When you look at the ratio of doctors to patients, it's one doctor has to treat 17 to 20,000 people. That's just not practical. When you look at like the medicine supply, 70-80% of rural aid posts, and the bulk of the country is rural. They go without medicine all the time. And you have mortality rates that are at the highest at 47 per 1,000 births. You have 47 deaths for every 1,000 births. And mothers that are dying, 215 for every 100,000. So, and the average in the Pacific is 55. That's the maternal mortality rate. So, you know, we have issues with police strength, law and order. You know, illegal guns are rampant in the highlands and other parts of the country. We have seen just a spate of terror with disenfranchised youth trying to entertain themselves with violent crimes, engaged in violent crimes, just some for survival, but mostly is just trying to emulate what they see in some of the movies. Just horrendous what's been posted on social media throughout the country, and this has to compel once again citizens to really question what's happening to our national psyche, and what's allowing this erosion of values throughout society and in all parts of the country. So, according to our budget, we have a per capita health spend of 490 kina, just under 500 kina per person per year, and where the Pacific average is 2,100 kina. So we've had the drug budget cut by 30%, and throughout the country we have only 14% of rural aid posts that have reported full functionality per annum. These statistics are just deplorable, and they indicate that the health crisis is protracted and it will continue. Now, I've highlighted some of these issues. There are many, but our job tonight is not to play the blame game or lament too much. It's just to highlight issues and continue to advocate and educate the people of Papua New Guinea. So I'm passing lo opposition lo mirla mas struggle molman one something wo lo bagarap you mean can cross to mas lo government mirla mas lookim na skelim ask him all question all fit lo bekim all no fit lo bekim wala mas talking all man also something and work lo. Now ask lo disloga the heavy come up and leadership fail. Now there's a great quote by Abraham Lincoln, where he says, power reveals character, and what we have to understand is we've had a government here for 8 years, And that 8 years has demonstrated what kind of character they have, whether they're a people-centric government who put the nation's need ahead of their own, whether they're competent, whether they're effective, whether they've produced results that have promoted socioeconomic development throughout the country, or whether we've actually experienced regression and a litany of crises in the period in which this government has been in power. Now, this is something that the government will do its best through rhetoric to try to justify its existence. But overall, it's something that the writing's on the wall, and the people of Papua New Guinea can clearly see that we've really come to a point where things have just gone from bad to worse because of failed leadership. So the root cause of all the issues is failed leadership that has failed to prioritize the people's needs, put the country ahead of political expediency, and promote national interest. So time you may look him or some heavy come up, law health, law education, law and order, and you may look him or some ask for this longer the heavy and leadership and fail. Now, time you come up member na you establish the kind position of power, you want him kind man and come up less skill. You man lo tingin all man, na you man lo shorel all people, na you tingin plus blue, na you tingin country blue, na you tingin lo kirabim na make him big na something, and you make him. You know na height, and you make him. Na because leadership and leadership is just about taking care of people. Leadership emotion, passing lo look out him all man. Now, country am give mandate lo leader now come up member or going to parliament. This land and big la privilege, responsibility and come out. Lo come na use him this la political power, the mandate, na respect him, na make him big la work lo kirap him place na country. Now you can look him also. Government and start, you may place clear straight also government and tintin to mas lo country. Put him politics go pass na tintin plenty lo maintaining power. Na this time make him know okay politics go pass na country and bagara. All the heavy come up because the leadership failed. You may look him also. The Prime Minister with the government have made a lot of promises. So we evaluate some of the big pronouncements that were made. One la talk to 2025 and you stop importing rice. Rice mit la wog lo kay yet. Now it's mit talk the price for rice. You may wog lo kay rice yet. When we have the capacity, we have the arable land, we have the labor force with the youth bulge throughout the country to effectively engage in large-scale agriculture to transform the country to become a rice producer, not a rice importer, and just completely save all that money that gets spent on rice imports. Now, instead of mitla making more sense, mitla wog still importing rice, wait him see lo karam rice come depend lo all import be mistap. Now the country making rice na mitla kay. Na mitla kat ground all kada something. Lo mitla can growing rice from mitla. So this is the sort of the leadership failure that has failed to apply introspection and be serious about how to develop the right policy and plans and effectively implement to produce the right results, to increase employment, to achieve import substitution. But we're not thinking about these things hard enough. Work member na work leader, complicated work. Come liya na mibla talk to some the type la technical something or some la magic something. Simple. Problem am start, opportunity am start. How na ba you use him public resource? Na mibla no kan foul. All the money government work lo broke him, all the something and government work lo talk na spend him and money block people and resource block people of Papua New Guinea. Now mitla no work lo ask him question. The leaders all no boom, all no true look na kirap na togol sa. Bami use him this all the resource lo grab him place also one. Strong him sinon blown man na meri also. So Bibla walk lo kam lian. Bibla talk to plenty lo politics. Bibla talk to plenty. In fact, so plenty time and by me talk also inside the parliament, and I've said it before, this 11th parliament is one filled with pleasantries, platitudes, and Pollyanna. Yumi kirap, yumi tokaya king leader, na yumi kam liatu, na yumi listen no samol. People give me mandate, yumi no sam, yumi no respect, yumi no poreto. Yumi kam, yumi make him kind and foul talk na foul person liya. Na yumi make him na leadership mandate, yumi am go wara. Now in the process, and you may lose law, fundamental passing the leader lo cut and pick. Lo man. Indiscriminate. You cut him pig, you cut him straight, you give olga man mas simna, olga man mas yusimlo. Kirap in place blow. No ga? Samla you block kirap na toggle sam, no ga talk to planting, I'm all cross women, all make him all some so punish him. Make him all suffer. No one give money blow. So you know cut and pick straight. Some line okay get double, triple, 4 time, 5 time, okay get all some pig, okay get leg blow pig, backside blow pig, aban blow pig. Okay the head blow pig too, okay get na liglika finger blow pig, na tail blow pig, na yaw blow pig, and you blow in some blow. But I'm alright, passing the simbu. You blow again, and me blow pula. Talking about me blow toggles. But this fundamental passing blow cutting pig, the inequity, the lack of fair distribution, this directly breaches the preamble of the Constitution, the fundamental tenet of equal participation, fair distribution, equity. Country bagarap, but it's the passing blow cutting pig. Country bagarap, because you may not put him on man go pass, leadership and fail. At Islam showing us some leadership and fail. Leadership and weak, leadership in a strong, leadership is not for the people, or some na plan is something and baga. Or some na time midla lugin, plenty time, you make it up, you may come up in this talk na, you may talk also some government and pull up, when the man all no clear law, or no got sawen na skills and experience, all by studying heavy block country. So we've called it a kakistocracy. So, where we are ruled by the least qualified in our society. And all member come up minister, because all qualified look come up minister too. All got sawe blow, all got skills, all got experience. But because all supporting government, all making good lo government, you may make him all man lo this. What's na country bagarat? Because it's not based on merit. Mitla no make more man because of meritocracy or because all got paper, all got skills, or all got experience. Mitla make more because all boy blow group, all sawelo you mean, all like him you mean, all support him you mean. Mitla blow one blow party na you mean make more man also. So na country bagarabe. Now you mean but also this like kakistocracy and evolve and turn him go inside the one and something or call him kleptocracy. Where now all still man. All work lo stop inside na, all work lo running country star, all still man. So when we are governed by thieves, the government becomes a kleptocracy. And it's a very dangerous time for the country when this happens because you will have people so self-absorbed, so consumed about their affairs, so focused on how to empire build and make sure they enrich themselves. Make sure they save up for a rainy day. Make sure they plan for the next election to come, the national general elections. Make sure that they're positioned to benefit and cash out and cash in. Now country no na cash out na cash in na benefit too. So this la kind of something and make him na this la now level blow government and work lo stop. Na plenty looks ours and still passing go big block, corruption go rampant. Now we're ranked 26 out of 100 on the Transparency Index. This is once again a total indictment on leadership. What is the government doing about all this? So this is why it is absolutely incumbent on the citizenry to raise awareness, to become educated on the politics, to participate, to be informed, to understand what's going on, and more importantly, to understand what needs to happen. We can't be in the business of playing the blame game, to blame the Prime Minister or blame the government. It is what it is. And one way or another, we were all complicit for not doing anything to stop something, for not participating in politics, for making the wrong decision, for turning left when we should have turned right. So you mean organ stop na, sudim talk na, sudim finger na, grab na togol sen. Government disla na, Prime Minister disla. Mitla mas lugim mitla too. Na mitla mas sawa sen. Olga da heavy mitla mas talk. Okay, I'm right. I'm heavy I'm come up. Or still man or stop or run in country. Country bagarap, corruption bagarap. Land is something and fail. Ausig no gad marasan. School bagarap. Olga da disla kain something woglo come up. Okay. We ba making money. I'm asking. I'm number one asking mitla mas making. Na me by making money. So it's about that total ownership of the problem and that sense of personal accountability, the patriotism, and citizens being concerned about the future of the country. I mean, this is our country. Where are we going to go? So if we're not concerned about it, if we're not convicted to make the right decisions to change this situation where it hasn't been working out for anybody, then mitla mas sawe olsan bagarap and continue. So mitla la stop him okay, mitla mas stop. Mitla mas ask him mitla mas participate, mitla mas boom, come up him tintin. Na yumi mas senese. So what we have noticed with the deplorable state of affairs throughout the country is how the government has continued to promote patronage, political patronage. When you're looking at selective warranting, the crony capitalism with a lot of the contracts that people receive from the government, we see that there's a lot of information control with legislation that has also been passed to prevent this sort of like open protest, open assembly, gathering, free speech. And there's a lot of breaches of the Constitution that have just blatantly been taking shape under this regime. We see that there's so much work to divide and rule. And this is all part of the playbook. Government am come, I'm not strong in government system, I'm not strong in opposition, I'm not strong in Auditor General, I'm not strong in Ombudsman Commission, I'm not strong in ICAC, I'm not strong in police too. All very, very important constitutional offices just erode, all bagrab, all no got mouse, no got funding, all come up powerless. Na I'm walk strong him, na I'm walk boy yet. So leadership and failure, and because time mibla come back, mibla look lo, walk to government law, come up in planning, take action where it has to execute these plans, and then I must second this law work logan, and then I must make him this law review, and then I must act on that law the change. This the plan, do, check, act cycle, the Deming cycle that's fundamental in management and leadership. It's hardly being applied here by a government where all come up in kind of nubla tintin lo how country ba work na one policy ba work na nubla tintin plan di gamantumas, plan di kusai policy, plan di fail policy. Na all kada disla something in a work na country work lo bagrab. So mibla looking one dog system em go bigla inside the government. Na no got plenty appointments blow all public servants, and it's based on the merit. Prime Minister too, and was an fit lo making decision, sack him all minister, rouse him all secretary. Now you must ask him, why is it so hard? Why are we putting up with this incompetence and lack of performance within public service and amongst ministers? And why are we allowing the absolute blatant erosion of governance, where ministers are just a law unto themselves? They are just doing things willy-nilly. They're eroding the integrity of the offices that they hold. They're all subject to the leadership code, and they're just acting with impunity. And yet, Prime Minister allows all this. Prime Minister larim ol minister wogim something lo like blogan ol secretary wogim something lo like blog. Mi lugim some lo pusket secretary police to wog less for them all na. Police wog lo was lo no wog lo round no wog lo come up some lakain tribe lo man bell blow sola bolsan. One lakain something all come up with some lakain man or wog lo round yes. These are secretaries of departments. Some lo lilig or kusai secretary no lo. But Prime Minister balug lo resolve something embalarin. Blowanem. The people of Papua New Guinea. So now we'll try lo look lo one something will come up. We'll must look him also. Ino one nubla something to come up. Ino one explanation ba mibla simlo all white man ba gimitlaw. Ba mitla ko lo nal blab na painin. Leadership failed. Geli leadership. Some na country bagarap. So midla mego wanem na midla come up in this government or midla vote him all man or wanem. Well midla must kill him too. We must kill him yet. You two kill him yet na. We have to be accountable for the current state of events in the country. So, ladies and gentlemen, this was just a highlight of some of the failures that we've seen. The leadership failure that has resulted in just a complete breakdown of education, health, law and order, and just the state of the economy with the cost of living crisis. Inflation wound up from us. Price growth something and more family stuff, months in time. This was something in na fix him area. One time now something how you may work run in country stuff. So you got some question, some asking. You salam come. You make an one look. You make an back him. Some response. So time you asking a question, just let us know where you're asking from, what your name is, and then just ask a question related to the topics that we discussed, and then we can respond. Suppose you got some asking. So it's important. We've all heard of the great Nelson Mandela, the leader of leaders, great man. So one of the favorite poems that Mandela had was a poem by William Ernst Henley. It was called Invictus. Now, this is a poem about struggle and about accountability and taking ownership of issues and having that inconquerable soul. So the last two lines, salient lines, is it matters not how straight the gate or how charged the punishments of the scroll. I am the master of my fate. I am the captain of my soul. Now, what this means for the country is we have to be inspired. One time this heavy now you may look in. People must really be convicted that this is my country, I'm country building. Now that conviction has to be demonstrated at the polls. The ballot is your power, so you have to be ready to use it. You have to participate in politics. You can't be a silent observer, you can't be a spectator, you can't be a sideline critic. Don't play the blame game. Be part of the change. Your vote is your voice. The ballot is your power, and your choice is your future. So, Section 50 tells us the Constitution, it's enshrined in the Constitution that the process of voting is a fundamental right. So this is the independent state of Papua New Guinea. This is the democracy we're in. And it's only when the citizens rise up, get organized, and decide how to vote, then you will change the course of the country. So this is the key takeaway from this live stream for everybody watching that's participating, is to understand that where we end up, it's up to me and you. And we can't forever be here playing the blame game. We have to seriously look at the situation, ask how we got here, and understand where are we going. Now, in no uncertain terms, if there is no change to the status quo, then things will just get worse. We are just on the path to anarchy. That's where we're going. Not to Eden, to anarchy. So you have to judge the government by its actions, by its lack of performance, by its failed execution, by everything that you see that's not working out. You have to blame the government because they're the ones controlling the resource. They're the ones controlling the coffers. So the power is in your hands, just as it is in mine. And as the opposition, I will do my absolute level best to hold the government accountable and continue to scrutinize government policy failure. But you also get ready to play your part. If there's any questions, by all means, send them through. So the question one from for the first question about we've been talking a lot, and then what no can talk plenty na come outside law make him something. Well, it's on record. I was the first term member of parliament as deputy opposition leader to have parliament recall because of this sort of violation of the constitution. And I'm still in the fight. On Monday, we have a vote of no confidence Supreme Court hearing where we are seeking to invalidate this nefarious section amendment to Section 145, where it's just giving the Prime Minister another 18 months before he can be challenged on the floor of Parliament. And that's being heard on Monday. So I've been quietly working on pushing this agenda. And finally we're there, so we'll be in court on Monday. And that's to have Parliament recall to move another motion of no confidence in the Prime Minister and change the government before the election. So that's the actions that I have been taking as a responsible opposition leader on behalf of the people of Papua New Guinea. Yeah, for unemployment, we have to. This is a serious issue. This is a serious issue. There's two issues from one of the questions about the question on accountability and unemployment. So if we look at our comparative advantage, Papua New Guinea and Mibla and Pablo agriculture, coffee, cocoa, copra, oil palm. You talk to one agriculture, ground kilimibla, wara kilimibla. We have the best arable land. We have a lot of land that is just not being utilized. So agricultural potential is at its peak. So we have a big population that's just sitting there doing nothing. So government policy must make this youth bulge productive and engaged in agriculture. So at the same time, they're getting paid, they're improving their livelihoods, they're getting an income, and they're increasing agricultural export volumes at the same time. So this is how we will achieve that agricultural revolution that all successive governments have been talking about but have failed to achieve. And then at the same time, you address the youth bulge pandemic, and you have all these millions of people productively engaged in employment. Then you completely change the game, because you change the country. So for all the funds that are missing, it comes back to quality of spend. I want to place on record that Mibla Luksawal, or the Honorable Joe Cooley, the only minister under the ESON framework launched by the opposition that has responded to clearly tell the country how he spent his budget appropriation for 2025, the impacts that he had, what he could have done better, and what he plans to do in 2026. We salute the Minister for Correctional Services, the only minister to have done that. Everybody else, well, there you go. If there's no transparency in public funding, in how you're spending public funds, then the people will continue to be playing this guessing game. You may not have said, our minister, I'm spending money, or I'm not spending money. Auditor General needs to be funded so that there's more scrutiny on acquittals and on reporting on public expenditure, so it keeps everybody accountable, especially ministers of state who are charged with billions of kina and just go on a spending spree, not to push government policy, but for personal empire building. So, Keron Simon, you asked one good question, grey listing. Now, grey listing, it's a situation where the Financial Action Task Force have given us the status of grey listing because we have weak anti-money laundering systems in place. So they have to improve this know your customer standards and really identify the origin of where money is coming from and how it's going to other banks in Australia and Singapore, and how it originated here in Papua New Guinea. So, and yes, it's we are looking at how best we can get off the grey listing list, because it affects investor confidence and it increases the cost of trade for all business houses. So Karen Simon, the last we heard was that the government was working on it, and the opposition asked multiple questions on when they would announce what their plans were and publicly display. But to date, after we were grey listed in February, and now we're coming to the end of April, we are still waiting to know exactly who's on this task force to deal with the grey listing, how it's going to be handled, what reforms are being taken form and shape, what legislation will have to be passed so that we can fast track our way out of grey listing. But in addition to that, we also had to ask how we got into grey listing in the first place. Prevention is always better than cure. And this clearly shows that we had a government that was simply not alert na emno lukim ol sam bislakain heavy ba come up na yung go inside penis. Now, that's a good question about, well, that's right. I mean, the problem, we can't be here to just say that the problem is the Prime Minister. The system is broken. The system is weak. There are many areas in the public service machinery, in the whole supply chain, in the procurement system, that have loopholes and that are open for manipulation and that can easily be bent in a way that serves a few people pushing to manipulate these systems. But more so about the system, it's only when you have strong leadership in place that applies critical thinking, root cause analysis. Naomi can look him also heavy and stuff inside the public service machinery. This is what you need to do to fix it. Now, you look at the 3 standards that Singapore applied: meritocracy, pragmatism, honesty. These were the standards that applied throughout the whole of government. And look at the results that they produced. They've solved solutions like unemployment, like housing. They just solved all these problems. Corruption, they solved all these problems. Now they're the tiger of Asia. And they don't have the oil and gas that we have. So it's only leadership that will end this paradox. According to Sir Jay, a mountain of gold floating on a sea of oil. Yet our people are so poor because of leadership. Leadership will fix the systems. Leadership will set the country on the right course. Leadership will achieve Vision 2050. Yes, tonight we started this live stream, live engagement, and this was the first that we've done to just further advocate and educate the people of Papua New Guinea on policy, on issues affecting the nation, and we can also confirm and commit to a scheduled live stream timetable. So it gives people an opportunity to ask comments and engage and participate in discussions. And as we continue, obviously we'll enhance this medium of engagement so that we continue to respond and be a servant to the people and continue to look at better ways to develop policy and also hold the government accountable as we scrutinize government performance. So overall, ladies and gentlemen, tonight was the first live stream that we have presented, and we thank you all for participating in tonight's live stream. The basic gist of this whole live stream is to inform and educate you, but also help you to understand that the power is in your hands. We cannot continue to suffer in silence, and we cannot continue to play the blame game. So I'm there ready to take action. I'm in the courts for a vote of no confidence, and I want you, and my appeal to everybody watching is to talk to your members of parliament, talk to everybody you know or somebody who knows somebody, to just have all the members of parliament wake up. And let's just stop this absolute mess that the country's in because of failed leadership. Now it starts with leadership from the top. The buck stops with the Prime Minister. He can't play the blame game and try to say that it was a previous government, successive government, that he's inherited something. Because of his indecisive, laissez-faire, participative, Melanesian wannabe type of leadership, we are in a worse place than we were in 2019. 8 years and the writing's on the wall. Talk to all your members of parliament. We can get rid of this government tomorrow, but everybody's got to be on board and ready to make it happen. If we think that we are just going to allow these things to go without being checked, country babagara. We have to stand up, we have to stand together, and we have to stand up now. This is the call to action for all citizens out there. Country am country blue, na country blue. So, Pandam Islam ito thank you lo time blue plan you participate. God bless Papua New Guinea, and we will update on the next live session later, early next week. Thank you.
PNG happenings.